Where's my restream? Oh, good. Token expired. Give me a second. Lord. Okay. Restream. And bing. Bang. And restream. Okay, there we go. This. Let me get some reference real quick. Save image as and desktop. So we're gonna really quickly, if you want to watch, there's a couple things. So we don't need that anymore, and we don't need that anymore. Okay, so on my YouTube channel here, if you go to playlists, here we go to the KeyShot bridge, we model up glass mug. If you go to my PavWork workshop and you go down here to number 7, we have, at what's currently number 7, we model a glass beer mug. If you wanted to model something like texture import. Hey George, thanks for showing up. Man, it seems like it keeps getting earlier and earlier. We're going to go to the desktop here, soda bottle, and then we're going to grab that soda bottle, throw it in our spotlight. So if we wanted to hit the comma key, get rid of that stuff, and model something like this, go ahead and drop that opacity down. There's a lot of different ways to go about this. The way I would probably do is go over here to my cylinder 3D, go into edit mode, and go into initialize. How many spans do I want this thing around? We'll say like 16. And then how many divides do I want? We'll just say 3. And now when we turn on polyframe and make polymesh 3D, we have a very simple cylinder. And now it's just a simple matter of snapping this or putting this down towards the bottom here. And then we'll go ahead and move this thing here. This gizmo, by holding down Alt, we can kind of snap it to the bottom here. And then we can just stretch that out along the top. Now I can just go, I mean, you can go all the way through here and just scale this thing down as needed, or you can go through here and kind of extrude it up using transpose, I suppose, easiest thing. I mean, like I said, there's a million different ways to do this. In other software packages, I might make a curve here and loft or revolve, not loft it, I'd revolve that curve and then convert that to geometry. And you can kind of do that within ZBrush with one of the primitives. I'll show you that in a minute. We'll go insert single edge loop. And now we're just going to hold this curve here, and wherever I'm making a major change, we're just going to go ahead and add an edge loop in here. And now you can go through here and you can do scale, edge loop complete, and you can just scale these things down as needed to match your reference here. And then if you need to, you can go through here and you can like bevel edge loop complete, like so. And you can also, if you needed to like bulge it out, like here, you could also do like an insert multiple edge loops. And as you drag that edge loop out, you're going to want to make sure you turn on interactive elevation. And then you can kind of bulge and pull that out and also add more as needed. You can also, if you needed to pull this in, you could squeeze that in and add more edge loops. So we can go ahead and add another one here. And we can go up here, we can squeeze this in, like something like that. And then when we do Shift Z, now we've got our bottle here. If you want to make the bottle with thickness, actually, I guess we can go ahead and bevel this thing here. So we'll go ahead and bevel as with complete. And there we go. So if we got our bottle here, we'll hit Control W, make it all one polygroup. And then this top piece here, we can hover over a face with our Z modeler brush. We'll go to delete flat island, and we'll go ahead and delete that. And now if we go through here, we hover over face, we'll do extrude all polygons. And we can just pull this in. And now we have thickness, and we'll go to our display properties and flip. That's going to be underneath display properties here, flip. And there you go. And now you can go through here and we'll do like an insert single edge loop just to kind of put this down at the bottom here, and then we can go to insert multiple edge loops, and we can do this. We can actually bulge this out and then maybe add some more spans in here, and then you can go in here and do like QMesh polygroup all and pop these in and whatever you want to do. And you could make those twist and via screw top, and I'm just going to take the lazy route here. And there's our bottle with thickness here, and let's go ahead and I want to maintain this curve up here a little bit better, so I'm going to insert a single edge loop, and we're just going to maintain these curves just a little bit. And then, okay, so we got that, and let's go ahead and smooth this even more. We'll smooth that up to subdivision level 4. So that's our bottle here, and then we'll go to render, external render, KeyShot, but we're not going to render just yet. If we want to fill this with a liquid, actually, you know what, let's go ahead and we'll go to insert single edge loop on the bottom here, and then here. Hey everybody, thanks for showing up. Hey Mike, have you ever considered doing a segment of ZBrush to Houdini, setting up 32-bit multi-map UDIMs? Not 32-bit multi-map UDIMs, but I do have a, if you go to the playlist here, there is a, somewhere in here, there is a Houdini ZBrush playlist. Where the hell is it? So Houdini and ZBrush. So this is going to be fleshed out with the new Houdini game dev tools soon. As soon as I can sit down and do it. I've been kind of busy lately, but yeah. So there is a start of some Houdini and ZBrush stuff here. And like I said before, once I get some time, I'm going to go ahead and update that as well. No topic today necessarily. I'm going to be, right now we're just going to make a Coke bottle or a beer bottle or whatever you want to do. And we're going to throw this into KeyShot really quickly. But first what we're going to do is go ahead and take this bottle here. We're going to duplicate this down. We're going to go into solo mode. I'm going to go ahead and apply those subdivisions and then geometry, delete lower. And now let's go ahead and group by normals. I'm trying to make this so that, let's hold down Control Shift. Well, you know what, let's undo that. Let's go ahead and let's go down to subdivision level 1. Let's group this one by normals here. That will work. Yeah, that'll work fine. Okay, so now when I hit, let's go ahead and hold down Control Shift, isolate this outer shell here. We'll go to delete higher, delete hidden, and now if we want to fill this up, let's go ahead and put some liquid up to this point here. So let's go ahead and, now there's a, when it gets to liquid, it starts doing some weird stuff within rendering and KeyShot, so I'm just going to keep this super simple. You could send out 3 different surfaces, a top one, a middle one. Anything that touches glass is going to be separated surface out from anything that it touches air, but we'll just go ahead and just do one surface here. And then we'll go ahead and crease this edge loop complete here. And then we'll go ahead and hit D, and then we're going to subdivide this up. To 4 is fine, but we'll say the crease level of 3, like so. And now that we have this, let's go so 5. So now that we have that liquid sitting in there, what we're going to do is we'll do QMesh polygroup all. We're going to back this back just a tiny bit, and then we're also going to use this volume for bubbles. So if I want to, I can go to, let's go ahead and make a sphere, and we're going to go down here to my initialize properties, and we're going to say, let's do cheap 8 and 8, and then make polymesh 3D, and then we're going to go back to our liquid here, and we can go in our Z modeler brush. I'm going to hit M, and we're going to grab that polymesh sphere 3D to grab that, and then we're going to go to Insert, Nanomesh, Polygroup All, and we're just going to throw some bubbles on here, and then under our nanomesh properties here, we'll go down here to our size, make it smaller, and then width, length, and height, we can crank up those variances a little bit. X offset, Y offset, V, Z offset. And we probably want to do those in negative. That's the end. We're also going to want to do random distribution. So we're going to throw some bubbles in here, and we want all of these offsets to go Z offset, I guess throw those negatively. So now if we go show placement off, you're going to see we're kind of collecting these bubbles inside of here, so now we can play with the size a little bit. And we're just kind of distributing them through there. You could distribute them, you know, so it's like more bubbly on the top, and then it goes to less bubbly on the bottom. And I guess we could do that really quickly if we just go in here, back to show placement. And if we want to kind of concentrate them up here, we can go ahead and start alt painting on this and then tap shift. And then let go. And now because we're making these a new poly group here, we're just basically painting out where that nanomesh is going to go, because I said insert on polygroup only. And now when we go back here and turn off show placement, you're going to see, oops. Show placement off, you're going to see it, there's no bubbles on the bottom here. Okay, so we got that. Let's go ahead and do show placement here. That's fine. Let's go ahead and do inventory, one to mesh. And then we'll go ahead and say, grab this one, split hidden. So now we got our bubbles on a separate layer. We've got this one here that we want to dynamically subdivide. And now we can finally send this over to KeyShot here, external renderer, and BPR. Load that up. Let's see. Sorry if I missed your comment, as per usual. And you show us how to export out ZBrush to Modo, for example, with all the details. I would assume Modo has FBX and OBJ, so you would just go in here to export OBJ or Z plugin FBX and export here. I tend to use FBX more than anything else. Okay, let's see. So we've got this ZBrush model here, and let's go back to ZBrush here. We've got all these things. Oh, we had solo on. Let's try that again. And also, let's open this up a little bit more. Fit the screen a little bit better. There we go. Okay, so once again, did it just open two versions of KeyShot? Not really what I needed. Okay, so now that we got that, we can go into our scene here. And we've got our little bottle here, so we'll go to our glass first. And I guess we can go solid glass here. Black, gray, orange, red. I guess we'll just do white. And then I'll go ahead and do our glass here. Let's go down here to liquid. And we'll say liquid beer. And we'll throw that right onto our liquid here. And we'll go ahead and double click that beer, and we'll say our transparency distance is 3 here. And our refractive index, since it's touching the glass, if we go in here, refractive index is 1.5. Let's change our refractive index on our liquid beer here also to 1.5. And then I think even for our bubbles here, let's see, scene, bubbles here. Let's go ahead and say that needs to be glass, maybe. It's been a while. Let's see. And we'll also call this, yeah, 1.5 and 3 here. Let's see, 1.5. I'll have to go back and rewatch my damn ZBrush video. If you wanted this to work, watch this video right here, because I've got all the settings in there, and like I said before, it's been a while since I've done this. Anyway, the real question was, how do you model a bottle? And that was fairly easy just using ZModeler. If you want to try and get fancier, you can also use this primitive right here. What am I looking for here? This thing, sweep profile. So you've got this thing, and this is kind of like dropping in a curve and having it dictate how curvy your object is. So you can go through here and you can match this bottle here. You match your profile of your bottle. So if you want to make more lines, you just got to click on the line and it'll go ahead and make a new one. If you want to make it a harsh transition, just drag it off and then drag it back on without letting go, and then that'll be a square transition. You can also, yeah, I know ZBrush, and then you can also click on here and make these less rounded curves. So there's that method here, and you'll just have to cap the bottoms here. There might be a thing for that. I don't use this very much. You can also let's see, remember how to do this. Let's get rid of this here. You can also make a plane 3D here, and let's see if I remember how to do this. Let's say we wanted to do like a slice in a shape, and then you can go to brush curve. There's a curve lathe in here. You can hold down shift and that'll go ahead and lathe your object along that curve profile. So if you just slice a curve here, you can go ahead and do that. Let's see, split mass points there. So now we've got this lathed object based on the curve that you draw. Of course, you don't have to like slice anything. You just go through here and it'll make an object based on that. And then you can go through here and modify these as needed. So just like anything else, there's a million ways to do that stuff. So we'll go out of it. You know what? Let's just initialize ZBrush here. Michael, have you met Kurt Papstein? Yeah, I did. It's been a long time though. It was, I want to say SIGGRAPH 2013. I met Kurt. I think we both did demos at the Pixelogic booth. Yeah, and so 16.5 Houdini. Let's see if I have Houdini on here. Houdini. And let's also see if I have the game dev tools. We can talk about that a little bit. If you haven't yet, GitHub. You may, whoa. That was weird. Looks like GitHub isn't private today, but you can go to GitHub, then you can download the latest. But you can also just go through here. Let's go ahead and do. Let's open up that game tools and let's see if it'll just update here. So we go to the game dev tools here and do update tool set, and we'll say here's 1.7 release. We can do development instead of stable. Update the tools here. Yay! And then we'll restart Houdini, and then we should have the latest Houdini game dev tools. And I can also see if, let's go ahead and move this over a little bit. We can also see if GoZ is working with Houdini here. So if we go back to ZBrush and we load in our trusty dog here. And let's see if GoZ is working with Houdini. So we'll go to GoZ to path to Houdini. That should work. So you can GoZ all visible or just whatever you have selected. So I'm going to do export current subtool. And we'll see. Oh, you know what? I needed to, do I have GoZ portal open here? GoZ portal open. That helps. There we go. So now we got our dog inside of Houdini, and then you can do all sorts of crazy stuff inside of here. So if we look at the game dev tools, and you know, obviously you can just go through here and type in like, oh wait, you have to be inside of here. We'll drill down, and then we'll do. So there's all the game dev tools that you can pull from. If you know what you're looking for, if there's anything weird, and like I said before, I'm going to do a walkthrough of a bunch of different things on here. If we just do a poly reduce, no. What would be a good one? Auto UV poly reduce, you can do all this stuff. Instant measures, you can do baking inside of here now. Simple Baker is a really cool one. There's a lot of really cool stuff in here. Voxel mesh, game dev voxel mesh. So this is kind of like Dynamesh here. So we can take this, and then if we make this visible here, you're going to see this is going to voxelize our mesh, and then another voxel mesh properties here. You can do another, this is a really cool feature. You can do sharpen features, which is similar to while you're in ZBrush. If you've noticed, you know what, we're going to send another tool over there. So if we go over here to Cube 3D, make a Polymesh 3D, and then we hold down Control and drag out a copy, and then we go ahead and Dynamesh these. You're going to see when these things Dynamesh here, and we go to Geometry, Dynamesh, we don't have project turned on. If we turn project on, you're going to see we have a sub-projection here. So if we Dynamesh this again, and we have sub-projection turned on, you're going to see it starts collecting edges around here, which is very nice if you want to do something like this. So we go ahead and Dynamesh this. It's going to maintain the edges around the surfaces better, and in fact you can work at a fairly low resolution, and if you crank your sub-projection up and then Dynamesh, it'll give you low res out here, whoops, but I'll go ahead and concentrate those here. So if you do a voxelize and then a poly reduce, it'll give you a much better result. For example, if you wanted to do that within Houdini, we could do, I mean, you could start out in ZBrush, which is cool. I mean, obviously you don't have to, but we'll say, we'll go ahead and make this here, and then we'll go ahead and take this cylinder here. So we can go ahead and keep all these edges hard. So if we send this one over, we'll go ahead and say, actually, you know what? Let's take this one here, and we'll split this off first, and then we'll do a quick crease, dynamic apply, and then merge down. Okay, so now we can go Z that over. And if we go back up, go Z dog, we don't need anymore. So we've got all of this stuff right here. So we'll go back in here, and then we'll go ahead and do our voxelize. So we can voxelize all these together, and we'll say that's visible. And now these are being voxelized. And in here, if we do that again, you can do project to original. So it and you can see that updating on the fly, as well as the sharpen features here. So as we turn on sharpen features, it's really collecting that information on the edges where we need that to happen. And resolution, low, mid, high. We'll do a high resolution voxelize mesh. And then underneath here, let's see if we can just do a quick poly reduce. And let's see, percentage to keep is at 100. You can do percentage, or you can do polygon count. I guess we can do percentage. We'll say 25%. And then I'll go ahead and reduce that down. And now, since we've already kind of, it's kind of the same thing as Decimation Master. So once you pre-process once, you can just manually go in here and just start dialing these things down on the fly. So you can just drag the slider and start seeing exactly how you want to divide that in. Of course, there's a whole ton of other stuff in here. Another cool one, if we go back to ZBrush here, if you're using, like, say, go in here to edit mode, make polymesh 3D, and we'll go ahead and do an initialize Q cube here. And you know what? We'll do unify. If you're doing something like, trying to think of what we could do here. Let's see, bridge, connected polys, and first we'll do insert single edges. Okay, so we can bridge these two connected polys here with a circle, curvature 100, 8 is fine, line to normal, triangle sides. And you wanted to say, go in here and we'll do like a crease tolerance, turn on dynamic, smooth subdiv of 4, crease level of 3. Let's do smooth subdiv of 5. So you've got this kind of shape here, and we'll go ahead and apply that. And now if we send this one over, oh, you know what? It sends over the lowest res one, which we don't want. So if we go ahead and go back up here, we'll do delete higher, or delete lower. Whoops. And now we'll send this over. And then we'll go back into Houdini. And we don't need this anymore. So we'll go back in here, and then we'll toss in another poly reduce. And then we'll look at this here. And then, and as we're reducing this geometry, if we go up here to preserve quads, and then we'll say like 50%. If you go down here and you start dialing this number in, it's going to try and preserve your quads as you reduce. Now, in ZBrush, you can like reconstruct subdivision history, but if you don't have a real subdivision history, it'll still do a pretty good job of just maintaining your quads as it reduces through here. So that's another cool thing. Is there a way of moving drag rect brush on the surface after drawing it like we drag a mask on a viewport by pressing spacebar? Yeah. So if you go here and you hold down Control Shift to do your drag rect, and then you hit your spacebar, that moves it around like this. Is that what you're talking about? Another thing you can do, if you want to actually drag your mask around, like say you want to put like circular text on the inside of here, so let's go ahead and grab some circular text. Alpha, what are we looking for here? Military, and we'll do circular text. So we've got the circular text and we want to place it on here. So what you might be thinking is, okay, I'm going to grab that circular text and we'll do like a drag rect, and we'll try and drag rect this text on, mask, pin, drag rect. Where are you at? Oh, duh. Okay, so you could try and like drag rect this on. It's like, well, first of all, it's not square. Well, you could make that square. You could say under the stroke options, you should be able to do square and center. Let's do rectangle, square, center. So now at least you can drag rect from the middle, but it's still going to be kind of hard to like, well, I want to like rotate this around and make it fit this way, right? So another, and also you could use a text tool for this, but if you're using alphas, what I would use is brush BT transpose smart mask, and then go grab the alpha in there, and then of course you're going to want to make sure you have the transpose line, not this one. So hit Y or turn that off. And now when you hold down Control, you can use your space bar to move this stuff around. So now when we drag out using Transpose Smart Mask, you can use your space bar and also rotate, so you can do very, very precise placement of your text. And now you can go through here and inflate this or deflate this. And now we have an M Pro 322 IMM reflex charger. What software do you primarily model with at your job? Almost exclusively ZBrush, a little bit of Fusion 360. Maya is our backbone modeling tool. A lot of people use 3D Studio Max. A lot of people use Modo. How do you normal export ZBrush to Maya if you use Maya? You'd have to bake your normals. So to get your normals out of ZBrush, you can go to the ZBrush plugin here and go to the multi-map exporter and just bake out your normal map. Of course, if we do this, let's do reconstruct. So do reconstruct down. Whoa, did I go too far? Sorry, ZBrush. Let's see if we can just do this. You're going to need UVs, and then you're going to need to bake out your higher subdivision level. You can't bake arbitrary meshes in ZBrush here, so if, you know what, we'll say this is our lowest here. Let's go ahead and, yeah, that's not too bad. So we'll go ahead and delete lower. So we've got our low res here, and we got our high res here. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go over here to like UV master, and you know what, to make this a little bit easier, let's go ahead and do a group by normals, just to kind of make polygroups here. So when we go over here to UV master, we can do polygroups, and we'll need to work on clone, and then we'll go ahead and say unwrap. And if you flatten this, that's going to be your UVs. We'll go unflatten, and then we'll go to copy UVs, and we'll go back to our original mesh here with our subdivisions, and we'll go to paste UVs. So now we have UVs here, and then if we want to bake our normal maps here, I mean, you can go down here to, where is that at? Texture map, create. You can do a displacement map here. Oh, there's normal map. You can do normal map stuff here. You can say create normal map, and it'll do it from your low res to your high res. But you can also do like displacement map, normal map, texture from polypaint if you had a polypaint on here. So if we go back up to subdivision level 5 here, and let's say, whoops, we wanted to put like a red stripe down the middle of our object here. So we've got this, and we want to bake this out. Actually, you know what? Let's invert that, and we'll say gray. Okay, so we've got gray and red. So now we have texture from polypaint, which this is an easier one. You can go down here and texture map, new from polypaint, and then I'll go ahead and bake out your polypaint to your texture. And I don't bake anything in ZBrush, incidentally. I bake everything out either in Houdini or Painter usually, or Marmoset. But if you wanted to do it in ZBrush, it's fine. But like I said before, you can't do it to an arbitrary mesh. You can't have a separate high res and a separate low res and bake to those. It has to be all one object. It has to be low res and high res within the same object here. And then we can go to create all maps, export options, file, yeah. And then create all maps here. We'll go to our desktop, that's fine. And then I'll go ahead and bake all of your maps for you. So now if we look at, what is this? That's our displacement. Yeah, so it baked out our displacement map. Our normal map, I don't think, let's see. Yeah, baked out TIFFs. Ugh. Is there a PNG option? Like I said, I don't really, we could say make it a tangent normal map. We can smooth our UVs or smooth our normals, I suppose. And we can flip in the Y channel if your green channel, if that's going to be something you need to do. And then normal map subdivision level 1. Yeah, I think that's right. And also, yeah, no issue with the PNG option. Let's see if that works. Like I said before, I don't bake anything out in ZBrush that often. There we go. There it is. Sure, let's use Photoshop. There we go. So there's my normal map. And then you would take these maps into you might have to flip the entire image here, go here to texture, and you select that. You may have to go to flip vertical to make it fit your UVs in Maya, and then export, and then also flip your grain channel. I don't know. It's a bunch of stuff. Can you show the multi-map workflow and texture setup in Houdini or more UDIM? I cannot, because I have no idea how to do any of that. But eventually, mayhap, I will. Is Houdini a viable option for rigging and skinning compared to Maya? Maya is tough to beat anything animation-based. If you're talking about animation and motion builder and rigging and joints and weights. And in fact, I think that's the reason why Maya is the de facto backbone pipeline for every game I've ever worked on, is just because of the animation tools. Not the modeling tools, not the rendering tools, not the hair tools, although they're all decent, good. It's because their animation pipeline stuff is really difficult to compete with. They are really good at that. But that's not to say you can't come up with something in Houdini or Blender or Modo or 3D Studio Max that's also very, very good. But I just don't know what they are, because like I said, even all the way through from Ringling all the way to me currently, I've never worked on a project that didn't have a Maya backbone for the entire project, mostly because of the animation tools. But yeah, like Money says, there's nothing you really can't do in Houdini that I know of. There might be some hiccups where you might have to, but they're also constantly updating Houdini and constantly making it better. Like every day they're doing new releases and stuff. So can you reposition your UV islands? Yes. So you can go down here to subdivision level 1 and or you know what, that's not even, let's go safer. Let's go back to our original one we're working on here, and we'll go back to UV master. And we'll say flatten. And we've got these here. So if we want to, this is just geo. So you can do whatever you would normally do with geometry. You can go through here and do to your UVs. So if you say hit W, we've got transpose. Let's go ahead and turn this back on. We can control click this. Now I'll go ahead and mask this out. So if you want to rearrange this, you can. You can also go over here to your brush settings and say auto masking, and say mask by polygroups up to 100. Let's go ahead and go back to our transpose line. So whatever one you click on first, you can go ahead and just transpose this one. You can also, if you go back here and you turn on your brush size down to 1 and you have your move brush selected, and you do topological, that'll go ahead and just move around a single shell that you have. You can also do brush size very large and do the same thing, but that's a little bit, just move it down to 1, and then you're just moving your shells around. As well as if you wanted to, say, relax the inside of this thing, you can isolate this one, and then you can go down here to your masking. You can do mask by border, and then you could like grow that mask, invert that mask, or don't invert the mask. You can go through here, then you can do a polish in through here, or you can go through here and you can hold down shift and smooth, or you can go in here and move if you want to, or you can go through here and let's do a mask by border, invert that mask, and then you could go through here and we'll say this is okay, but we want to make these things straight, so you can go in here with your clip brush. Now of course this is going to clip everything over, so you're going to have to very carefully go through here and clip these things to a straight line like this, or you can do whatever you want. It's just geometry. So as you're doing all this stuff, you can go back to your plugin, unflatten, copy UVs. We'll go back to our other mesh here, and we'll go to paste UVs. And now when we go down here to our texture map, we can say new from UV check. You're going to see these things have all moved around how I had. Now you're going to see it's also flipped vertically, so you're going to need to go over here to your texture map and flip anything that you bake. Pretty easy. Have you heard of the projection strength settings to make your insert mesh brushes conform to the contour? I have heard of that. I've done that several times on my channel. If you go to my channel here, and you go to live stream highlights or live stream full episodes, and also the intro to ZBrush part 1, part 2, and part 3. It's in Intro to ZBrush Part 2, I believe, is where we talk about the insert brush stuff. There's also alternatives to that if you're interested in that kind of thing. If you go in here to a sphere, make polymesh 3D. So for example, let's go ahead and we'll just duplicate this off and we'll say make this a geometry shadow box. And we'll go ahead and hold down Control and we'll say grab star alpha here. We'll turn on transparency. And we can just drag out a star. That's fine. Go into turn shadow box off, and we'll go ahead and clip this down. And we can go ahead and dynamesh this thing here. So if we have a shape here that we want to conform to our surface, we can go to B, create insert mesh, new, and then we can go back to our sphere. And then when we drag this on, it's not going to conform to our surface, but of course, if we go over here to our brush here, and we go to modifiers, and we can go to projection strength, as we drag it out, it'll go ahead and conform to our surface, and you can conform it more or less. If you have an object in front of here, if we go, say, projection strength down to 0. So if you have an object sitting out here, we'll go ahead and split mask point. So now you have two subtools here. As long as you have these two subtools showing, you can go into BMM, which is your matchmaker brush. You can just drag that out, and that'll also conform your object to your surface. It's camera based, so if you move your camera slightly, it'll just project straight back. So you can use that to do, if it's not an insert mesh brush, you want to do multiple brushes at the same time, you can use that. Also, you can hit W, and you can go into your bend arc or bend curve. Let's do bend arc. Delete hidden. Go into your bend arc deformers here, and you can say bend these angles across here to go ahead and maintain or match. Let's do this one. There we go. To kind of match your underlying surface like this. All of that can be found on my YouTube channel under Intro to ZBrush 4R8 What's New. So there's 61 videos in here that'll walk you through all those deformers. That's available to you. Is Twitch being neglected? No. You guys just aren't being very talkative. I'm on Restream. Baking a cylinder correctly also would be the ideal number of edge on a cylinder to avoid normal wavy look. You're going to need to... Hey Axel, how you doing? Yeah, when you're baking a cylinder, in order to avoid that wavy look, it's not so much about how many spans you have, I don't think. It's more about how you set your surface normals here. So basically, when you go to your normals here, and also you're going to want to put edge padding on here. So what you would need to do is go to group by normals here, and then we can go back to our UV master here, and we'll go, you know what, it is symmetrical and it is polygon. We'll unwrap this and we'll flatten. So number one, you're going to need edge padding. We'll go into our move brush here. You're going to need edge padding around where you want to have your normal breaks. So basically all of this is going to be average normals, and then you're going to want to say, okay, wherever I have an open UV border, go ahead and harden those normals. So when you go to bake this thing to your high res, it will bake in a nice perfect bevel with your normal smoothing. Won't cause that weird camera stuff. There's also things you can do, like in Marmoset, you can do 2 bakes. You can bake all hard and then, or hardened and then all softened, and then you can average all your normals without breaking that, and then you can paint out where that is. That's kind of a hassle too, and it's not very procedural. In Instalod, you can put in a reference mesh, I forget what they call it, but that'll dictate your cage that it's going to bake to. But yeah, I think the easiest way quickly to do that is just to break apart your UV islands based on the normal angle, and then harden these edges, soften all your normals, average all your normals, and then harden them along the UV borders, and then when you go to bake, that should give you a much nicer result without the scalloping. Have you tried Houdini UV4 to create a dynamic asset? Looks great workflow for environment stuff. Yes. I'm not an expert in that yet, but yes, there's a lot of really cool, the plugin and even the Substance plugins too for Unreal. Auto poly paint texturing with cavity mask. Well, that would be something like, we divide this up and we go over here. Well, first you can, let's turn this off. You can start sculpting in here however you want. You can also do a surface noise. Here, and we'll go ahead and apply to our mesh. And then we can go in here to masking, and you can mask by cavity, you can mask by peaks and valleys, however you want to do that. And then we can go in here, we can fill this, and then invert that cavity, and then fill this. You can also actually poly paint by the surface noise while you were doing your surface noise. If you've noticed in there, if you go into edit, you're going to see there's a color blend option in here, and you can choose different colors and you can blend them between them. So, for example, if we do cavity mask here, let's take that blur down, intensity up. There we go. And you can also change your cavity profile here if it's not masking exactly what you want. There we go. So we got mask by cavity, and now we can just fill this with white, and now you're texturing with this and poly painting with your cavity mask. Why is ZBrush flipping UVs? That's a good question. I don't know. Have you ever tried Unfold 3D for unwrapping? I highly recommend it. I haven't. Sounds good though. And again, when it comes to UVs, I don't give a shit about UVs. I really, truly don't. Any way to do that procedurally is what I'm all about. So that's why I'm looking for, in Installa we did the UV stuff in here. Houdini's UV tools are getting a lot better. So we do gamer dev UV unwrap. There's a lot of auto UV stuff in here. So we'll throw this in here. Let's see if we can just auto UV this thing. And there's also a UV preview in here. Somewhere in here. I forget what it's called though. I've been doing a deep dive into Houdini, and I was using it a lot, and then I had to go back on art tasks, and I very quickly forgot everything I needed. So, oh, you know what? I could probably pull in some. Well, let's see how much time we got left. I've only got about 15 minutes left. Today's only going to be an hour. But anyway, we can do, let's just see if we can hit 5. There we go. So you can go through here, and with this UV, you can do cluster UVs. You can do axis aligned. You can do UV unwrap. Let's do axis aligned here. You can change the orientations and the min, max, optimal, or best, and this is a little bit more computationally expensive. But packing iterations, you can say how many times you want it to go through. And again, these will make it a little bit slower, but you can change your padding here. And then just get your UVs. Just auto UV this stuff so much better. Don't worry too much about your UVs. And I say that as somebody who knows how important the UVs are. But man, UV is one of those things I just don't care. I don't care anymore. I can't care anymore about UVs. Hey Mike, I'm a game art student going to character art. I've been learning Maya, but my Blender remains my favorite experience. How lenient are studios about the software character artists use? In my studio, then I really don't care what you use as far as modeling your high-res source material. So you can use Blender to do your high-res, but you do have to go through Maya usually. So you would at least have to know the basics of Maya, like how to get an object into Maya, how to rename nodes, how to go to the menus and export stuff. We use a lot of proprietary tools for that, but that's just my studio. There are other studios out there who I'm sure you go and look on their requirements for character art, and they might say you have to use ZBrush and 3D Studio Max to work at the studio, in which case it is what it is. Thanks for showing up, everybody. Thanks for the kind words. Cool. It's like your Instalot streams. Is there any chance we'll be releasing to non-enterprise users? They keep talking about it, so maybe. I hope so. Can you show us Fusion 360 with ZBrush? Yeah. Are you going to make an intro to Houdini series? Yes. Big fan of your Gumroad, E3D training. Thank you. I was wondering if you still use head SUV layout, and have you tried to bake with Marmoset Toolbag 3? I've baked a while ago with Marmoset Toolbag 3 just to kind of use it. But since then, I've been using Houdini and Substance Painter. That's not something wrong with Marmoset Toolbag 3. But it's one of those things where I don't like to fiddle with my baking. I like to just have it done. But what else was with Marmoset? It's been a while since I've been in Marmoset. Again, nothing wrong with Marmoset at all. Use what works for you. Head SUV layout. I haven't used that in a while either. But again, just because I don't care about UVs anymore. Not that I ever did, but now I really don't. So I've just been trying to use procedural tools to do my UVs for me. And tweaking those parameters and trying to make, and you know, as the tools get better for that stuff, doing that kind of thing. So now as far as the Fusion 360 stuff, let me see if there's something I wanna make here. Oh, we also did this. This was fun. So if you missed it, we did twitch.tv/AMD. So I went on AMD's Twitch. Here, let's go to videos. And if you go down here, you see, hey, there's me. So in here, ooh, mature audiences. This isn't really a mature video. Not, we didn't do any nudity, although, no, yeah, we did. We used the base mesh here. We used the base mesh for this. But we went through here, and we kind of did just a quick concept sculpt of like some kind of mech armor skull guy. And then we also went through here and did this little Koopa Jr. guy. And he was super fun to do. Just kind of starting out with primitives, and then we kind of went off the rails here and started sculpting him to be super muscular just for fun. But that was all on AMD's Twitch channel. So I'll link you to that. Oh, by the way, I keep forgetting to do this. Here's my YouTube channel too. And if you want to download the videos, you can go to my Gumroad or my QBrush page, and you can use that there. So we got Turtle Power, we got Rocksteady Bebop we have going here. And then we have the Bowser Kids. So we can talk about this a little bit. So we got the junior block out here. As just a block out mesh, just primitives. And then we have the refined mesh here. So that's still, everything's all separated, but now we basically dynameshed all these things together and just started blocking out where these things need to go and made insert brushes for his back here. And then this is going to be what we use to rebuild. And then in this one, we give him a mouth bag and Z-remesh this piece here and all that stuff. So maybe we'll do a video on that on a day I have a little bit more time. But anyways, we were going to talk about this. I'm bumping up into the end of the stream here. I'm sorry I have to leave early, but it's one of those weeks. December is not a great month so far. Or streaming, I should say. If we go here to our streaming, what were we looking at here? What's one we were working on? ZBrush female helmet. So if there's something I wanted to refine in particular here, it was kind of just an interesting thing we were working on. We could take these horns, for example. So I'm going to go ahead and clone this off, and we're going to go out of X symmetry. And we'll delete that. And then here, you know what, I guess we could, just for the hell of it, just to make sure I know where I am in space, I'm going to quickly go down here to Deformation, Unify, and then go ahead and export that you can do as an OBJ or a STL file. I don't think it does FBXs. Actually, let's see if this even opens. What do you think of the future of AI in your field of career? Just like every other field, it'll probably replace me within my lifetime. You know, the decisions I make are basically just a series of parameters. So once AI gets better at utilizing those parameters and making its own eventually, it's you know, the creativity part may not be there, but I'm not one of those people who would be like, machine will never be able to do X, because you know, you can go through history of countless people going, yeah, this will never happen. We'll never be able to do humankind, and this will never take place. Germ theory isn't real, that kind of thing. And then 100 years later, you're like, what an idiot. So I don't like to speak in absolutes like that. So we'll go ahead and do insert SVG, insert mesh, and we'll grab our test OBJ. And this is what we want to rebuild. And just to make this a little bit easier on me, what I'm going to do is actually rotate this here. And we'll go to the front here. And we're going to say, gimme. See how I remember how to use this damn program. Let's go to the top. That makes more sense. So now I can rotate this thing a little bit more down the middle here. And it's fine. So now if we want to, this is just going to be basically our reference mesh here. We have it under our bodies here. So we have this group. Oh, we had two polygroups in here. That doesn't really matter. So we can go into our sketch here. We can create a sketch on this plane here. And now that we're in sketch mode, we can go through here and we can also make this visibility opacity control, let's say like 40%. There we go. And again, it's actually been a while since I've used this. Bear with me. So we're going to go ahead and do a circle, center diameter circle here. And we'll go ahead and make this back shape here. And then for the rest of this, we can just sketch this out. So we'll snap to the side of the circle here. And if you want to here, you can maybe make an arc. So we'll go in here to our arc tools and we'll do a 3-point arc. We'll go 1. Let's put it here, 2 and 3. So now we've got our basic shape here. While you're sketching, you can go ahead and fillet these or not. You can also go ahead and sketch this circle here. There we go. So stop sketch. And I'll go ahead and turn these bodies off. So now we have our sketch here, and we can go ahead and do a push-pull of all of these pieces here to go ahead and make, I need to go ahead and turn our bodies back on, sorry. Go ahead and make this. Now, in order to make this the right width, we need to go over here and say, make that the width that we want, and say OK. And then once we're done with that, we can go back to our sketches here. And we can say, there we go. We can say, okay, so this circle right here, this profile, and this profile right here, profile plus profile. There we go. And we'll do another push-pull here. And we can go ahead and just cut this through if we want to. We can also do, you can do a cut. You can do we'll do 2 sides so we can pull this through. So now it'll only cut through a little bit. So, okay. And now we can go in here to our modifies and we can do a fillet. I think that's also on the right-click menu if I remember correctly. Maybe not. maybe it's just with bodies here. Oh, we have to have a selection first. So we'll right click this and we'll say, we'll fillet this thing here. And we can also do the same thing for these. So we can say, okay. And let's say we want to make all of these. I said, okay. Now let's say here, 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 and here. We'll go ahead and do these the same distance here. Okay. And we'll go ahead and do this top piece here too. So we can say, we can do a chamfer or a fillet here. So you just round this out. So let's say this is the look we're going for here. And oh, you know what else we needed to do? I forgot. So when we go to the front here and we turn this body back on, you're going to see we needed to match this angle. You could do like a clip slice type thing, but you know what? This is good enough. I don't really care that much. I got to go. But now we can do is to take this body, and we can go to save as STL. And let's go ahead and refine this. You can do a high refine. I'm actually going to drop this down to like a normal angle of 3, and we'll throw this on our desktop as other test. And then we'll go through here, and we'll do the plugin STL 3D Print Hub, import STL file, other test. So now we have our object here that we made. If we want to, we can make that a insert mesh brush. And then we can go back to our, oh, you know what? We imported that right over that object we were working on. So this one here is the object we were working on. But now I can go through here, and I moved it down, I unified it, which I probably shouldn't have. But with this insert mesh brush now, we can just go through here and just insert that back on. And if you want to, there's also supposedly, let's see if they actually put them up. There's supposed to be a Dynamesh master that's available now here. Yeah, Live Boolean Master and Dynamesh Master and Gizmo Swapper are new. So I'm going to go ahead and download these. They weren't available yesterday. I watched the videos on them, but I didn't use them. You can use Dynamesh Master now to Dynamesh all your tools. You can also use the repeater for that. Live Boolean Master's got some extra settings too, as well as, Dynameshing after you've Live Boolean and stuff like that. But yeah, there you go. Okay, so let's wrap this up here. Let's see. If you don't care about UVs when you're baking, do you just put everything on smooth? Yeah, I'll average all my vertices, but then I can also, like in Houdini, there's an option to go ahead and let's see if we have that open still. When you go to bake these things, there's options to go ahead and say, hey, harden all my UV borders, and then that'll just do it for me. How do you compare Fusion 360 Booleans to ZBrush? ZBrush is a little bit faster for me, but not as precise as far as, in Fusion 360, if I don't like something, I can actually go back to the history of where I did this operation, like this one here, and I can go, oh, you know what? Let's go ahead and edit this feature. And we'll say, you know what, I want to make this bigger or smaller, or I want to delete it completely. It's all available to me in the history stack, and then it'll go back through and do that for me, as well as, I can do tons of Booleans here. So if we do, let's go create a cylinder on this object here. I'll go ahead and push this in. So if we go ahead and just do this, and if I were to live Boolean this, and then I wanted to like soften this interior edge, that's one of those things that's kind of a hassle in ZBrush, but in here, it's super easy to go ahead and just chamfer these edges, or fillet these edges, like so. And like I said before, it's like, oh, you know what, that chamfer I don't like. Go back in and edit that feature. Make it really big. And then I'll just go back through my history stack. That kind of flexibility is super duper nice. And also, it's hard to beat CAD and kind of NURBS-based modeling when it comes to Booleans, and it's just doing it mathematically. And in fact, I think we can go back to our sketch too. If we edit our sketch, and anything we used to create these things, you can go back through and edit your sketch, and it'll also go back through your history stack as well. So very flexible. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we'll have human anatomy courses taught to us by robots eventually. I'm almost positive. It might take a while, but don't underestimate them. New to ZBrush facing right now after done some edit in ZModeler. When I unfreeze the subdivision, I would not be able to sculpt anymore. Material's getting dark. Your material's getting dark is probably at getting masked. And also, my workflow, I almost never freeze subdivisions on anything I do. That's a hassle. What I would do instead is, if you want to see what it's going to look like being subdivided here, I would say go ahead and do your ZModeler here. Oops, QMesh, polygroup all. So let's say, okay, we're modeling this thing, right? And we say, okay, you know what? We want to crease on our polygroups here. So go to your crease menu and hit crease. Hit D to do dynamic subdivisions here. So when you go down here to dynamic subdivisions, that D and Shift D turns that on. So instead of actually putting real subdivisions, like you hit apply, now you have real subdivisions, and now you got to use ZModeler and free subdivisions. Instead of doing that, just use dynamic and just keep it dynamic. Even if it's like, well, this crease is too harsh. Go into your crease level and say, I want a crease level up to 2, smooth subdiv up to 3, and then you can just knock down those crease subdivisions here. So as you're working, you can go through here and you can still continue to Z-model to your heart's content. And then you can also, crease polygroup here, and it'll still maintain your subdivision history as well. Or use QGrid if that's your thing. If you want to use QGrid instead, you can do smooth subdivision down to 0, QGrid up, coverage, and then as you work with these kind of bevels here, it'll just go ahead and keep all these things nice and beveled for you. And if you want to turn it off, just Shift D and D. And then after you're done Z-modeling, then you apply those subdivision levels. In this case, it's not going to be subdivision levels, it's going to be QGrid, but then you actually apply that so that you can sculpt on it and stuff. Micro those nerves in Fusion 360. I don't think it's math. I'm not sure what they technically call it. I could probably find that out. But I don't think it's NURBS, but it's very NURBS-like. In fact, the NURBS, very like NURBS section here is be the patch modeling workspace. So you can go and patch model. That's very similar to NURBS. In the modeling section, they're solid bodies. How they're doing the math and how that's different from NURBS, I'm not positive. But yeah, I'm not sure. In fact, let's even go in here to create a box. And we'll go ahead and slice this all the way through. And we'll say we want to do a new body. And then with this body here, we want to go ahead and move this out. So we're going to go ahead and just slice right through here. And just to be safe, we'll go ahead and say, now, like I said before, I'm not an expert at this program by any means. It's been a long time since I've really used it a bunch. But now we can do an operation between these two where we go ahead and create so we can do a split body, or we can do a combine between this one, and we can say we want to cut that out. And now we can go through here, and I think we should be able to so we can fill out all these things here. Yeah. Now you're going to want to be careful because everything in Fusion 360 has to be able to be machined in real life. So once you get these things close, it'll start giving you errors if your object can't be created correctly. But they should turn off the option where you subdivide while in Dynamesh. Always resets anyway if you re-Dynamesh. Yeah, and I sometimes will do subdivisions in Dynamesh just for vector displacement stuff, but yeah. Yeah, Joseph Trust did mention the plugins a couple days ago, and I went and looked yesterday and they weren't up, but now they're up. So here, I'll link you guys straight to it. You can check those out. Cool. How would you rate ZBrush KeyShot Fiber Mesh compared to Maya XGen Arnold Redshift for rendering humans, creatures with skin, hair, etc.? I don't know. I've never done it. It's been a long time since I actually made a character, to be honest. This software right here is Fusion 360, and then we are also hopping back in Houdini, and then also KeyShot, and then also ZBrush, and then also Photoshop. So that's our. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're all great. It depends on what you're using it for and how fast you are in them. Cool. All right, guys, I'm going to head out. Thanks everybody for showing up. And next Tuesday, I'm not going to be on Pixelotic's channel, and next Thursday, I think I'll be able to live stream. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, hope that was fun for you guys, and I will see you everybody